Hello, hi everybody. How are you?
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I hope
As
that you,
always, how
yeah,
are you? I hope you are hearing and seeing us at least very well or acceptably. Here we are. It's the first live on this new week of crowdfunding for Outgunned Adventure. We hear back from you like 5 days ago, maybe our last live, so you probably are missing us, and here we are.
yeah, and
I, Marcus, Nestor, Matt, Andrew, Raul, Joao, and sorry for my pronunciation of all your different names, your different languages. We're doing our best as always. It's a pleasure to be here as anytime e sempre, come al solito, per gli amici italiani che ci ascoltano, ogni volta che diremo qualcosa di interessante o rilevante, cercheremo di tradurla in tempo reale anche in italiano. Per il resto del tempo potete farvi quattro risate con aria, che qui inquadriamo, e con noi che cerchiamo di parlare il nostro solito inglese tentato.
we are going to do quite a good number of live streams during these last 10 days of this adventurous campaign, I should say. So basically, we are going to be live today, and then on
Day
Wednesday,
after tomorrow,
day
I
after
think.
tomorrow, yeah, at when we are
Oh.
at the beginning of the third week.
Yes,
And
not the day after tomorrow, but the day after, which will be Thursday, probably.
I don't know, but we'll announce it tomorrow.
Yes.
Then we're going to have an Italian live stream on Facebook on, I believe, Friday or Saturday, and then we're going to have another live on Monday, same hour as today, next week for the final 3 days, and of course one live stream to follow together the end of the campaign. So one live stream 1 hour before the end of this campaign, which would be midnight for us. So we are going to be a
It
bit
will
sleepy.
end at midnight Italian time, but I will remember you all that if you like thrill, we are doing the overtime mode. We unlocked the overtime mode here on Backerkit, meaning that if there will be a train, a back train, while the campaign should close, the campaign will continue until the train will stop. So who knows? 10
This is
minutes,
I don't
one
think
hour,
that
10 hours.
I
We
don't
don't know.
think that you guys or even us are really sorry, I think we
Great.
disappeared. Are really ready. No, I don't know why we keep disappearing. Sorry, guys. Okay, I think we are stable now.
Yes,
Um,
okay.
I don't think that we are quite getting what's going on, because basically every after the end of the campaign, every time someone back this campaign, they will move the clock 10 minutes further. So it means as long as there are people baking every 10 minutes, this campaign can actually last forever. We have been told that there is some kind of 8 hour record, and we do not wish
Oh,
to break
please,
the
I have
record.
a child.
So
I need to
let's
sleep.
do 30 minutes, 1 hour. Let's keep it, nice and easy. Nice and
Yes.
easy, guys.
As humane as possible.
Um, so today we are doing a different live stream, not to talk about stretch goals and campaign and stuff, but to talk a little bit about the rules and tools that you will find in Outgunned Adventure, because the first couple of weeks of the campaign, 10 days, I don't know, have been so full of, stretch goals and records breaking and all that kind of stuff that we actually didn't have time. Sorry, get. Actually, we didn't have time to talk about, the reason why we are here, the game itself. So yeah, I think it's about time that we dig a little bit deeper into the rules and tools, as we called it, of Outgunned Adventure. Um, so as you know, first of all, Outgunned Adventure is a first for us. is what we called a genre book. So basically, it's not a supplement, it's not a core book either, but it's something in between, something in the middle, something that in our mind at least will speak to do different kind of players. If you haven't played Outgunned ever, if you don't even have the Outgunned core book, you can start from Outgunned Adventure. You just with the Outgunned Adventure book, you can play standalone. You know, you don't need any other book. But the on the other side, if you are already an Outgunned player and you have the core book, I would say that 90 more than 90% of the stuff that you will find inside the Outgunned Adventure book will be new stuff, meaning not only new options you are aware about, means new enemies, so supernatural enemies, new roles, new
Tropes
tropes,
and tropes, new
new
feats, of course.
feats, a lot of new feats. We have new equipment. I was missing a word. But also you will find both brand new mechanics, which we are going to talk about in a little bit, meaning like as in Outgunned you have the chase mechanics, you know, which is something per se. In Outgunned you are going to have different mechanics, but also you will have different ways, simpler ways to deal with fights and chases in Outgunned Adventure. And it will be up to you if you want to use the simpler Outgunned Adventure rules, or if you want to use the
More focused core Outgunned
tactical,
rules.
you know,
Yes.
Outgunned rules, or if you want to do a little bit of both. You know, that's always an option. As always, and this is kind of a statement, kind of our idea of how Outgunned should be played or intended, you know. There is no rule to do something. It's not I want to jump over the bridge, how do I do that? This is not how Outgunned works. There are different tools to help you give more or less meaning to some specific scenes. So it's perfectly normal to use three different set of rules for three different encounters, not based on how difficult the encounter is, how strong the enemy is, but simply how important for your story that specific encounter is. So fighting against an army with tanks could be resolved in just, you know, a couple of turns, a couple of rolls, but maybe fighting one big guy near an airplane that it's, you know, moving in circle like in Indiana Jones, that could, you know, be a whole session, and that's up to you.
To answer to other part, can we use the Outgunned Adventure simpler rules in Outgunned? Of course you can. As Rico said, there will be tools to handle the same type of scene, in some cases, differently. For example, big example, of course, we won't talk about ranges of firearms in Outgunned Adventure, so you won't have your firearm won't do different types of bonuses or maluses in different ranges, because we like to keep it simpler in this genre book. Of course, if you like, and if it's right for the type of story you are playing, you are free and encouraged to use this type of rules. The important thing, as Rico was said, and for us it's a main focus as game designer, is that you have the tools to give importance and meanings to the scene you care about in your story, and keep the rest of the scene enjoyable, but not extra focus. I mean, you don't have to spend 2 hours of your sessions playing something that it's not pivotal in your adventure.
Yeah, and that's basically what this is all going to be about. One last note that I think we should do is that all these rules that we are talking about right now are all still in playtest. There is a lot of a lot of work that we still have to do, but we are fairly confident on what we are about to say. So on one end, I hope that you will appreciate us sharing our notes on the rules and tools that we expect to have in Outgunned Adventure. On the other end, please don't take this too literally, because some things might still change. As said, we are pretty, we have spent some time on this, so I'm pretty sure about what we are about to say, but you never know. So first of all, let's talk about chases. Well, in Outgunned we have chases, which are a very specific mechanics that revolves around two attributes with our need and speed. So basically, during a chase in Outgunned, standard Outgunned, you want to increase your speed in order to fill your need, which may be escaping from an opponent or reaching your opponent, getting ahead in the chase. You can use chase rules in Outgunned Adventures, but they are not included in the book. How would you handle chase in a simpler way in Outgunned Adventure? Well, in Outgunned Adventure, we introduce what we called sorry, I always forgot in English. I always forget the name in English. You have to excuse me. I'm going to check my notes. I have to study more. We call them extended roles. Of course, that was easy. So the extended roles are basically everything that will require you more than one role, like for example a chase. So you will find different ways to handle the different extended roles in Outgunned Adventure. Most of all, they are going to be focused on how to handle the failure or the success of your longer goal. So for example, this can be good for a chase, but also for any kind of contest, or also for
maybe a very complex trap that needs several different actions to be disarmed,
or a stealth scene. But the focus of extended roles will be basically to give you the tools to make the role end, to make the situation end. Now, this might be a weird approach, but for now, for us at least, the game is, it's fairly simple. You as a narrator, you can ask for reaction rolls, or the player can ask for, action rolls. So it is fairly straightforward game, but the real question for us is, if I do need more than a roll to wrap up the situation, when does it end? What does it happen? Especially when we are talking about groups, like for example a long stealth section. One of us has failed the roll. For me as a GM, sometimes the problem is what does that mean? It means that everyone failed, just one of this person have failed the roll, and now the party is split, and that's that can be really a troublesome situation. So by making the extended roles, we are trying to give you rules on how to handle the success or the failure of a longer action across different roles. So basically your success or failure on a single roll will add up to other roll to give you the results of the final action of these final scenes. So yes, you can use extended roles. They're asking from the chat if you could, for example, use an extended roll to defuse a bomb.
That's a perfect example of how to use some tools from Outgunned Adventure in a probably standard Outgunned shot.
But if I have to, um, make you defuse a bomb, for example, I will ask you as a GM, what do you want to do? And you're like, I'm cutting some wires. And so you can make, for example, a roll for nerves, because this is a very stressful situation, and fix, because you are, dealing with technological stuff, and you get a success. But that's not enough, because we want this scene, the reason why we are doing an extended roll, because we want this scene to last. And so I may ask you for a reaction roll, like, okay, but now your hands are shaking, now make me a focus and cool, or a nerves plus cool reaction roll. And that's simply how the game goes, but the rules for extended rolls will cover you how many failure is too many failure. And what happens if there are too many failures? How many successes do I need? How do I handle? How much time is too much time for this section, defusing the bomb? And so we will try to give you the tools. And as always, this is going to be a pretty customizable tool. We are not to give you one straight answer like do this, is going to be 3 turns to failure and you're out. No, but we are going to give you different examples and different tools to handle this, and also to handle this if the failure of a person can or cannot mean the failure of all the group, like for example in a group stealth situation. And this will be handy for also for repairing stuff, for building and a camp or many other things. Speaking of extended rolls, one other cool new mechanics that we have that it's partially taken from an old action flicks called Cloak and Dagger is the contested roll. So as you know, Outgunned is all player facing, so the narrator, the director, sorry, as we call it in Outgunned, is they never roll the dice, but now with contested rolls, you can when we suggest to do this when the player want to do something very daring, something that you don't know how to handle and you want to be fair. Like let's say they have thought about something that is crazy that can change the whole scene, and you on one end you don't want to make it too easy because this will change the whole section, but on the other end you don't want to make it too tough because you want to be fair to your players. You want to be like, no, you had a different idea, so it's impossible to do what you're trying to do. Now one fair things that you could do is ask for a contested roll, so you are both rolling dice. And this is really, in our playtest, this is really a thrilling moment, because then either the director and the player can ask for a reroll or even an all-in. So you are always pushing and pushing, and there will be this mechanic of raising the stakes every time you reroll. So I think you'll find it quite entertaining. And now this is also, of course, this can be used for PvP roles, players against players, which we do not encourage by any means in any game, not only in Outgunned, but still it's a possibility if you like that kind of situations.
No, Raul, no.
No, Raul, we are not here to talk about stretch goals. We are here to talk about
talking about the game.
the game.
We did the same thing. I'll action around the fusing bomb scenario system of extended text and Peter mission of the city, getting the balance right and giving us an urgency of tricky sound like you guys have some novel solution. Thank you, Jay. We hope, of course, we are trying our best to give you the best solution we can think of in our signature system, how to handle extended roll, but we think it's a very core new feature of this Outgunned Adventure that could come in handy in many situations that could arise in any sessions that could require, like Rico said, a an extended role, right? An extended effort by an hero or adventurer. And so we are trying to give you all the tools we think are necessary to use these in our system as best as possible.
And yeah, but that's basically how we handle game design anyway. We are playing a lot the game, and we are coming up uh, with things that we think we need in some kind, and one of the things that we miss the most, and that's why we are always talking about extending a scene, is that in a contest like the pulp adventure, when we are talking about groups, usually groups are way more different. The players, the characters in a group are way more different and way more specialized. So if you're playing the professor, you are very focused on one aspect of adventure, while in action movies everyone can do a little bit of everything. They are a little bit more similar, these action character, I believe, not in the game but in the movies themselves. So when we talk about adventure, we have to address something like, okay, I'm a professor, I will not have a single skill point on fight, I am unable to shoot, I am unable to drive, I want to be like your nerd focused on archaeology. Where do I get to shine? And that's where we realize we need some way to extend some scenes rather than just chases and fights. We need to give very specific moment a little bit more time. uh, so let's talk about another cool mechanics. This is something I really like because it messes with the dice a little bit. We have a new mechanic that we call the assist. Now, the assist is something that is meant to encourage group play, but also not only to encourage group play, but also to, as I was saying, to allow some characters that are not very skilled in a specific set of skill like fighting, shooting, driving, to be part of the action in the fun way that they usually do in movies, in pulp adventure movies. So the assist, what is basically the assist? It's, let's say you're facing an enemy. That's the easiest scenario. You're facing an enemy. The enemy, you need a critical success to hit the enemy. You don't have a critical success, you just have a basic success. Now, what can you do with this basic success? Of course, as always, you can use it to perform a quick action. So that means that you can grab your gun, reload your gun, you can go into cover, you can throw something, grab something from the ground, etc., etc., etc. But if you really want to help your friends, you can also do an assist. And an assist is basically saying, okay, this basic success is not enough, I'm going to put it on the table for the others. And I'm
Yes.
going to describe this assist as something like, I try to distract the opponent, maybe, and anyone else who acted after me will get a chance, if that success can make the difference, to use it, as long as they can cling, they can tie to my action.
To what I'm describing, the action I'm describing.
So for example, I say, that's a basic success, I leave it on the table, that's an assist for someone. I try to distract the enemy, and Simone rolls 2 basic. Now, 2 basic are not enough, but with one more basic, they will merge into 1 critical, so that's enough to hit. And so Simone could say something like, we can talk to each other, of course, and act together. And I'm like, I make them turn around, and Simone can just, knock him out with with a punch. Um, so this assist, first of all, will have its limitation. We are not talking about all the limitation of an assist, but it's not like throwing successes on the table and everybody taking all the successes, because this will break the experience. Most of the limitation will be um, will be sorry tied to the role playing part.
Yes.
So everything goes as long as it makes sense narratively. These are all tools to tell a story. These are not, you know, rules you can take advantage of to kill your enemy quicker. But also, the assist create a weird thing at the table, which we appreciate in Adventure, that it's unprecedented in Outgunned, meaning we have to actually worry about who act first. That's a first, because as you know, in Outgunned there is a group initiative. So all the players and then all the and then the enemy, which is a single entity usually. So in the original Outgunned, you had complex, which from now on we are going to define them as tactical enemies, and tactical enemies could rely on special actions. Special action would break the initiative, you know, with some reaction roll. If you're familiar with the game, you know what I'm talking about. So it was somewhat important who actually rolled the dice first, because you can trigger a special action. Now in Outgunned Adventure, you don't have special action, parenthesis, if you don't want to take them from Outgunned.
Of course, you can use the enemies
tactical
from
enemies,
Outgunned,
so you still can
without saying.
you still can have them, but you know, if you only have Outgunned Adventure, you don't have special action from your enemies. So how do we make the you know, the action, the initiative order count? Thanks to the assist. So on one end, if you are the strong guy in your group, you want to act as soon as possible. You want to deal damage and possibly avoid, you know, other characters from having to roll, you know, dangerous roll against some kind of enemy, or reaction rolls, which are always dangerous. But on the other end, if you are the weak chain, you know, the weak link of the chain, you might want to add to act first now, because
So
you can do
even
an
if you don't have a success big enough to count something, you can leave an assist for someone else to use it and to deal that one more hit that could make actually the difference.
And that is because we like that moment which players look at each other and go, who goes first?
Who goes?
Because that's a moment of connection. We are hearing one another. We want to know what the others want to do. So we are not playing like, okay, I do this and then you do this and then I'm on my phone. We want, you know, all of us to share a moment, and that's a cool moment for us. And also the assist will open the possibilities to new feature, to new feats of the adventurers that will actually, you know, pile on the assist or make your assist more important. There is a feat, I don't know if it will make it to the final game, but a feat that allow you to make an assist even if you fail the roll, for example, like your failure. You can use your luck to turn a failure into an involuntary assist. And that's, for me, it's a cool feature. We still have to play test it through, but I think it will you know, last until in the final draft. And yes, I think that covers pretty much it about the assist. It's a mechanic.
I'm sensing from the chat that you are very excited about this new feature. Thank you very much for your kind words. Yes, the idea is that one is to give you even more tools to bring more action, more cinematic action to this kind of scene, and to have a more narrative approach. Since we think that the pulp adventure genre, while the fights are very important, of course, in the narration, they are not as tactically vital as in an action movie where probably a fight against a villain would be the focal point of the showdown. Here, no, you have something different. You have the treasure. You have different kind of scene that would be the crown jewel of your session and cinematic campaigns.
Moving
Of
on,
course, if you have questions,
I will just keep moving on the new stuff that we have, and if you have any
we
questions,
try to look at the chat. If you have any
dangers on dangers. This is something that I like, and that was actually, for me, it was missing in Outgunned, so I'm glad. I not only encourage you to take advantage on the danger on danger mechanic, but also to port it to your everyday Outgunned as much as possible, because it's cool mechanics, which means that as a director, you always have a chance to add a problem, a complication, a trouble on top of a reaction roll, or even in some cases on top of an action roll. So for example, if a player would tell me, I want to jump over the bridge, and I would say, okay, that's a critical roll, and that's it in Outgunned. He makes the critical, they make the critical, they jump, they don't make it, they jump but, because there's no fail in Outgunned. But now you also have the chance to add a difficulty level on top of any difficulty level, which means, for example, you want to jump over the bridge, yes, but you also have a heavy backpack. That could mean that you need a critical plus a basic, and the critical will let you on the other side of the bridge that is falling, and the basic will let you actually keep the backpack. And this also works with, of course, dangerous rolls and reaction rolls. So you can say the ground is shaking, you have to jump away from danger because everything is falling apart. That's a critical, dangerous reaction roll. But you can also say plus a basic just to keep your gun, for example. Or you can say the ground is falling and someone is shooting at you, so that's a critical from one side and a critical from another side, or even a critical and an extreme if they are shooting with bazookas, I don't know. But you have the opportunity to add a difficulty level to any difficulty level, and this will also add a complication on a complication, because you can fail 2 times. So this is different from, you know, an enemy that has an attack value of 2 critical, so you need 2 critical for a reaction roll against the enemy. This is difficult because that's a single multiple difficulty. Now we are talking about basically 2 difficulties, 1 roll. That's what we are talking about. So you're basically, is like, you need a critical to jump, you need a basic to hold your gun, but you are only going to roll the dice once, because these 2 things are happening all together. Yes. So I hope this makes sense. Luckily, we are going to express this better in Italian, and Caterina is going to translate it better in English. So it'll possibly make
wonderful job as always.
They are asking if there will be an objective rule for adrenaline, so the player can know when they get adrenaline without needing to ask the director if they deserve it. First of all, in Outgunned Adventure, there's no adrenaline, there is luck. Luck works just as adrenaline, and they're actually same, but luck is awarded a little bit differently, and it also is played a little bit differently from role-playing point of view, even if the effect is basically the same. Um, so um, you won't find rules to just award adrenaline or luck automatically, and that's because the whole point of the game, as a director, you need to encourage the good narrative, the movie like narrative, and it is one of your main duty as a director to remember to give out adrenaline or luck, or to remember to give out spotlight. That's why we are making tokens, luck cards that we just unlock. We are making spotlight coins, but you can use, of course, your own coins, anything that you have at hand. And we encourage directors to have these resources physically available on the table, so that you look and you see, oh my god, I have 24 adrenaline cards or luck cards on the table, I need to keep them. And you have to learn when and how to reward your player. And this is not a sterile mechanics that makes the game go. You can play without adrenaline. They don't need adrenaline or luck. They need to be awarded by you with adrenaline or luck. That's the...
Because we want things to happen at the table. I don't know how to express this. We want that kind of scene where everybody goes, wow. Everybody goes, wow, that was very cool, to actually happen at the table. And that's just a way to remember everybody that something is happening. The movie is going, the story is unfolding, etc. So that's the main reason beyond luck and adrenaline. And cheer, if you have.
Yeah.
If you have actually.
So if you have any other question, please fire away. I will move on from danger and danger.
We are reaching the end of this live stream. It's almost 40 minutes since we started. As always, we don't want to keep you here forever.
I will.
But we love to talk. So.
On the run mechanics, which is one of the biggest mechanic, but I fear that we don't have enough time to talk about it. But in the next live stream, we can talk a little bit about run, which I believe is going to be quite different from what you expect, because I see many people are expecting basically the Need for Speed rules, but just for running, and that's not the case. Of course, we are, that's the starting point, but it's going to be, I believe, quite a bit different from what you expect. But I will take a minute to talk about the enemies, because this is something that we are asked a lot. We don't have time to talk about the enemies, but I see that there is some curiosity, because oddly enough, and this is by no means intentional, there are no enemies in the Frozen Legacy one-shot, so there is a little bit of unwanted mystery on the enemies. So Matt, I don't think you are going to miss time talking with us about the game. To be honest, I think you have your fair share. So enemies in Outgunned Adventure. So we always say that enemies in Outgunned Adventures are going to be easier, more simpler, and what we actually mean is that they are not as structured as they are in Outgunned, and also they are not meant to be highly customizable as they are in Outgunned. As always, you can feel free to mix and match as you want. There is no problem in taking, Outgunned tactical enemies and bring them into Outgunned Adventure. This is actually, this for us came from, I like to be transparent about this kind of decisions. This actually came from, I don't know how to say it, from a very practical reasoning. Like, we wanted to make Adventure a standalone book, but we didn't want to make a core book all over again. We didn't want you to have like 70 pages that you already have on the Outgunned core book. So enemies take quite a lot of space in the core book, so we were unsure. Should we make all new enemies? Should we make, repeat all the enemies all over again? And then at some point we realized with Simone that this would have been the perfect moment to introduce a simplified version of enemies that we actually use in our game when we don't have time. So how does these things work? Basically, enemies in Outgunned Adventure, they don't have an attack, they don't have a defense, they don't have special actions, they don't even have feats. Although they can have, but I will go to them in a moment. So basically, enemies are simply a number of grid points that you have to fill in order to get rid of them. So when you encounter an enemy, you will have, much like a Need for Speed, chase, you have, but let's pretend that you don't know nothing about it. Any of you know nothing about standard enemies and chases from the original Outgunned. So basically an enemy is a number of grid boxes, usually from 3 to 15 tops. When you encounter an enemy, you will be forced to a dangerous reaction roll every time that you are in the same scene with the enemy. This will go on until you A, escape, or B, fill in all the grid boxes. So you hit them enough that they will die or be unconscious or stop shooting at you. So much like a standard fight in Outgunned, you will have your action turn and you will have a chance to try and hit the enemy or escape from the enemy. And then you will have a reaction turn when the enemy will try to hit you. But this time, you will not have an attack or defense stat for your enemy fixed every time, but depending on the action that you describe and depending on the action that the director described, the director will have to choose a difficulty for that action roll or reaction roll. So if you shoot at an enemy, this, for example, could be more or less difficult than, for example, punching the same enemy. While in the standard Outgunned, the enemy has its own defense. So either you shoot, you try to, run over them with a car, you punch them, that's the same difficulty. Now, you will find, of course, rules and examples for different action rolls and the difficulty of those action rolls. There'll be a full page of reaction rolls and the difficulty for these reaction rolls. So by any means, the fact that this is a lot of free form, it does not mean that that's a mumbo jumbo, do what you like. No, that's not like that. There's very structure, advices and best practice in the book, but still you are basically playing. That's no different from any other scene. The only difference is that you have the option to actually hit this trouble generator that we call enemy. So basically an enemy is just the number of time you have to hit them until they stop. That's an enemy in Outgunned Adventure.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's basically it. You will have a chance, if you have the other Outgunned book or even Action Flicks, to still add some feat to this simple enemy, to still use special action if you want, or even to use the the more tactical and defined enemies from Outgunned. And this will change a lot when we shift to supernatural enemies, because supernatural enemies will come with a little bit more refined and tactical style, because we don't expect any meaningless action against something supernatural. They are all going to be bosses, you know. Supernatural enemies will be much more structured than the one you find in Outgunned, because they will have not fit point or special action that you can buy, but they will have their own special action, their own feature
Also
customized
because,
on them.
as the name says, they are supernatural, so they will be able to do things that that unlike any other enemies you may face in the game. So yes, they will have their own type of feats-like abilities unique to them.
So we'll try to take a look at the question from the chat. Are there any expansion of the lore, as in World of Killer? In Outgunned Adventure, there is a little bit of lore, but I would say like 10% of the book it's about and some kind of lore. Not as much as World of Killer, but in the future we plan to have other books like World of Killer with much more lore. Raul is saying that like the rules, sometimes I find my heroes shooting at enemies as close combat range, which looks anti-cinematic. Well, sometimes when they are shooting, depending on their weapon, if a character in Outgunned is shooting at close range, a melee range, like they're very close, we advise to make them roll for actually brawn plus shoot, or even brawn plus fight, because we imagine they are like, you know, John Wick doing Kung Fu. They are trying to hit you, but they're not actually shooting at you. So that's not a nerves plus shoot roll. And this simple rule will probably make your player think twice before asking to shoot. And of course, you can always use the feat martial arts for your enemies to make them, you know, a little harder to hit with guns. Kristen is asking if there's
in a better expert level. I will be there a way to get the original physical book and the other accessories later after the campaign is over. During the pledge manager, right after the end of the campaign, of course, yes, you will be able to grab whatever you see now as an add-on. For what concerns retailers, books will go for sure retail. We, of course, don't know about the rest of the stuff, but if you're looking at the stretch goal boxes with all the medals, full medal set, you will find it in the pledge manager, but hardly you will find it in retail, just to be sure. And then, okay, yeah, let's see, action flicks. Okay, thank you, Marco, because he likes World of Killers. Thank you, we like it too. But yes, like Rico said, even if we have some sort of setting to help you know the type of words you are playing, the book itself is very focused on these new tools, of these new stuff, on giving you everything we think you need to play this genre. That's why it's a genre book, of course. And I think after saying that, if you have one last questions, please ask them right away. We are more or less over. We talked for an hour, and thank you very much for staying with us. And please wait for our next live, which will be in 2 or 3 days. I don't remember. Probably 2. I don't know.
And don't forget to join our Discord server, which we cannot, link here because this doesn't accept any link. But there is 2LM International. It's called Discord server. We are always there to answer all your questions and concerns and to hear your suggestions, etc. Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Like this maybe works. I don't know if you can see. I removed the dot, just right dot. like someone suggested last time.
I don't see it in the chat. I don't
No.
know if we.
YouTube has recognized
YouTube
my
doesn't want us to share a link to the Discord server, but
and
you know,
it's, of course, this is a live chat, so it's for your own and our own safety, so it's perfectly understandable. Thank you so much, and stay close, because in less than 5,000 euros we will unlock our 20 tag on 23rd, I don't know, 20 and a lot stretch code, and we will reveal what will await you at 340,000 euros, which is a new action fleet that you are longing for, but we will need to wait 4,000 and something euros to see it.
thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!